What's up, my fellow Las Vegas VIPs? The time has finally arrived. Support for the Guest List podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. Wait for it. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TheGuestList at manscaped.com. Imagine shaving with a sleek, well-designed, and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom. I, for one, am one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and I'm blown away by the performance. The craftsmanship and details on the 4.0 are next level. Guys, I literally just got out of the shower after trying this 4.0 lawnmower for the first time, and I have to say this is a complete different experience from when I was a young college frat boy running around using a traditional razor to shave my family jewels. I can tell you, for one, it does not give a young man filled with testosterone a lot of confidence when you have a cut-up man region and you know when you find a significant other for the night, a flick of the light can end your night in embarrassment. I have all of the confidence now knowing that Vegas is about to open up and I have a perfected, trimmed Manscaped area. Manscaped engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and an incredible, comfortable grooming experience. Their 4th-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. I now feel confident shaving my boys. This upgraded trimmer includes a multi-function on and off switch that can engage a travel lock. It also gives you the ability to turn on the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. The Lawnmower 4.0 even allows you to customize your trim through additional guard lengths with sizes 1 through 4. Did I mention wireless charging? The new wireless charging station uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last longer. Men, if you've been shaving with the same nut trimmer on your face, you've been doing it wrong. No person wants to end up with pubes in their mouth. It's time to get your own ball hair and body trimmer with Manscaped to make me time the best time and enhance your confidence with some nice, smooth boys. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code TheGuestList at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code TheGuestList at manscaped.com. That's right, 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code TheGuestList. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Thank you guys for your support, and now I know that you're ready to hear the show, so get on in there and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get started, we do have a sponsor, Manscaped. Make sure that you guys purchase a product using the promo code TheGuestList, and you can be invited to the inaugural Guest List 1-year anniversary party at the venue that is TBD. It's going to be a big blast. Man, I'm honored to be sitting here today with a legend, which is also a part of his name, Verse the Legend. He is a lyricist, artist, author of not 1, not 2, but 3 books, 1 novel, 7+ albums, and a partner in XMB Models, a golf course, and I'm probably missing about 400 other things on top of that. I'm excited for this conversation. He's somebody who portrays the creative economy in such an entrepreneurial way and is able to wrap that into Verse the Legend himself. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jake. How you doing?
Dude, I'm excited for this conversation. It's funny because we were sitting here talking for about 30 minutes and G was like, man, I didn't know if you guys were recording a podcast or not.
Hey, it was authentic. It was an official flow.
Yeah, you have a similar mind as to myself and a lot of us, where you see the promise of Vegas, but the promise of Vegas outside of what it's been built on, which is the Strip. And we can even just dive into this now, where we're discussing the creative economy and building a legacy outside of Vegas. I know you're originally from DC. but you've been out here in Vegas for such a long time. So why stay out here in Vegas when you were involved in so many other things?
Because Vegas is socially quicksand. Once you step in that shit, once you step in that stuff, you know what I'm saying, it got you. And the thing about Vegas, you know what I'm saying, I wouldn't say it's quicksand, you know what I'm saying, but it is definitely clay if you're quick, if you know what I'm saying. If you're mentally, you have that acuity, you can make whatever you need out of Las Vegas. And to me, this city has been home. I've been rocking here off and on since 9/11. You know, so to me, this is like, wow, you know, it's love.
Vegas really is. It can almost be a faceless city. I mean, it was built on the brand of being able to, you know, make as much money as you want, or if, even on the opposite end, you could completely lose yourself and lose everything. But a common perception that I get from a lot of the guests that are on the show is that they say Vegas is the land of opportunity and that you can really build your career and your own personal persona into anything that you want.
It's true, you know, or the land of fantasy, depending on, you know. Some say fantasy, some say opportunity. It is what it is. It depends on who you are.
Land of fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
So let's build some context for the listeners, because you have quite a large base to yourself and the things that you're involved in. So let's do, you know, 2-3 minute description of who versus and some of the things that you're involved in.
All right. Thank you, ladies. All right. First and foremost, my name is Verse the Legend. I represent the creative economy, you know what I'm saying, which is the collective economics of everybody in the Las Vegas area. And I deal with some entities that allow that to happen. And the main thing that we're in is making sure people's dreams manifest and become true, because the highest form of capital that there is human capital. And because we are dealing with the creative economy, we've been developing our human capital, we invest in our own stocks, and then we're bonded to our own successes.
Yeah. I am a firm believer in capital that isn't just a monetary value. And I believe in something called social currency.
That's right.
Right? That's what we do in simple things like podcasting, where I have you on the show and now I'm investing my own social capital into you. And in return, you're doing the same to me. And then down the road, it returns in some sort of multiple that could be a business deal, a new networked friend, which leads to more opportunities. And so it's kind of a component of the creator economy where you're building something of your own. It's basically a dark path, right? You're still constructing the road that you're on when you're part of this creative economy. Whereas if you enter the workforce or a corporate job, the road is pretty visible, right?
Kind of, sort of, not really. Because what if that corporate job goes under? Then it's not visible. The thing about the creative economy, if one truly wants to understand it, is you have to look at the age that was, you know, before it. You have to look at all the predecessors to know where the future's going, because it follows an algorithm.
Okay. So,
you know?
So what would precede the creator economy today as its prior history?
Well, the prior history of the creative economy was the dot-com boom. All right. The prior history to that, before that, was the IT age. All right. The prior history before that was the Industrial Revolution. All right. So you got to look at what industry you are in. Realize it's time for a revolution, i.e. a renaissance. Then take it to the network, i.e. .com, to expand your commerce while you create this economy. Because if you're not doing that, then you're just trapped in a bubble, a microcosm of someone else's fantasy.
So would you consider the creative economy inclusive of entrepreneurship, social media influencers, and authors?
And artists.
And artists, right?
Yes.
And probably, since there are multiple ages of this creative economy, there's a lot of positions that will be comprised of the creative economy that haven't come into fruition yet.
Absolutely. But it will be a subsidiary of the paths before.
Right? It's like a pyramid that we're building.
Exactly.
It's all stacks on top of each other.
A never-ending pyramid with an eye at the tip.
I see that. So when you first dove into this creative economy, as I mentioned, all of these different things that you're involved in, Was your entry point music?
Music was my entry point into everything in Las Vegas. Well, that's not technically being true. This is, I don't know who's watching, so I'm going to go ahead and just, keep it on the humbug. But music was my foundation and get networked with everything else. Through the music, I linked up with event planning. Through event planning, I linked up with my business partner, Topaz from XMB Models. And through that, it's just a matter of getting involved with everything else throughout the country.
Yes, it's really a snowball effect.
Yeah, and not to mention, artificial intelligence and my father's company, Software BBD, which is what originally brought me to Las Vegas in the first place.
So you're fond of the tech space and growing technology?
It's part of my DNA. It isn't really that I'm fond of it. It's just that I understand what it is.
What captures your attention in the software space today?
Well, first and foremost, I understand what the word technology means in the Bantu language. In the Bantus, the word technology means family. Bantu is a tribe in Africa. So basically, technology is family to us, the same way that Kemet, which was Egypt, was the root word of chemistry. And everything needs chemistry to go together. And that's just the foundation of any community, i.e. common unity. Without that, you have no DNA for success or anything that even resembles it.
Technology, the word itself, or I guess the semantic view of it, has kind of lost its way, right? When you go back to even the beginning days of man, fire was a technology.
That's
the
right.
spear was a technology.
That's right. The will.
It's just like technology labels whatever is most prevalent to society. That's why a lot of software companies are all labeled as tech companies, right? Like big tech is considered Netflix and Facebook and a bunch of social media companies, Google, but in reality, they're actually software companies.
That's right. Software companies with SPAC accounts and New York Stock Exchange tickers. Come on, we know we can get into that.
Ooh-wee. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan, and the audience knows this, of cryptocurrency, and that's considered tech too. I mean, fintech, financial technology, but there's going to become a point in life where all these technologies software companies don't have to be labeled tech, right? Like one of the big tech trends, put that in air quotes for those who are listening, is remote working. But maybe even 5 years from now, it's just going to be called I'm going to work, not that I'm hopping on remote work.
Because there's one last piece of tech that has not really truly been delved into the right way, and that's education technology. Ed tech is what it is, because once it becomes common knowledge, then like you said, it's just going to be common, hey, I'm going to work, or hey, I'm doing this, or hey, I'm doing that. And it's going to become the norm. Because software has revolutionized everything except for software itself.
It's a very meta approach to it.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of which, Microsoft just created its first DNA computer. So there's a lot of things going on in the tech sphere that people just aren't aware of. Now, my entry into it, to get back to the point, was dealing with music and tech, and I helped, my partner develop the platform called Audio Kite, which is the judging algorithm for Reverb Nation. That was my first real entry. This is when I first found out what search engine optimization was. I was a street dude. I ain't know about none of that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't grow up on no geeky shit, man. Listen, I had a 1.8 GPA through high school, dog. But I understood where the money was.
Yeah, I mean, grades just show that you can be trained, right? For the most part. I went through high school with a 4.2 GPA, college graduated with a 2.2. But most successful entrepreneurs had the same experience. 2.0 GPA, or even Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, drop out and pursue your own endeavors.
Exactly.
So why do you think this creative economy isn't as popularized as the traditional educational model which persists today?
Because there are no originators. You got to remember, how does this first level of education come about that people have today? The New Deal. Who? FDR. This was pre-World War II. What helped solidify that situation? People like John Nash from A Beautiful Mind, portrayed by Russell Crowe. You know what I'm saying? People don't fully understand the history, so they can't contribute to it. They are just human capital. And because this is a capitalistic society, because Edward Bernays and people of the sort were tasked with turning citizens into consumers. You know what I'm saying? These are just walking animals, for lack of a better term. And it's really not their fault because they never had that spark, that eureka that made them try to achieve something better. You know?
Do you think the government has set up this educational structure? Oh, it's all intentional.
Man.
It's all intentional. Yeah.
Man, don't even have me talk about the government on your podcast. I don't want them following me around this joint.
It's too late. The FBI has already tracked us. They got each one assigned to us through the NSA. You know? Edward Snowden brought that to light.
Amen.
But do you think the government or the people who set up this educational system purposely set it up to train people because if everyone tapped into this creative economy, there's not enough room to grow? Do you think it's a limited space?
It's deeper than the creative economy. They did this just based off of the sheer wealth of nations. You dig what I'm saying? Because if they could reduce the amount of citizens and increase the amount of consumers, then the people in this nation are just property of the state. So everybody is in a form of arrested development.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because it makes dollars.
The United States has a real trouble with materialism, right? We're not even the largest exporter anymore or importer anymore. No. The only thing that we export is hate and greed.
Human capital.
Yeah.
We import human capital, we export human capital. And because that is America, it will always have a place in the market.
Because we're mass consumers?
Because there is no we.
What do you mean by that?
Who do you think owns this nation?
If you're talking outside of the political realm, if you want to call them the puppet masters of people like the Rothschilds and some of the rich, is that what you're speaking in terms?
The Rothschilds are just one of the names of the families that are there. And the reason we know about them is because they are already switching this suit. They've been switching this suit. You know? But yeah, that sort of vibe, I guess, if people want to be woke, if that's what makes them feel better to talk about. But you know, unless you're running the race to win, the human race is just something ran on you. You're not even treated like an actual human in this country.
Do you have the belief that every human that exists on this world can have some sort of profound impact on society?
No beliefs. I have knowledge, okay? And one of the things that I know is that every human has value. Now, whether or not they have the ability to unlock that value is a totally different story.
And how do you go about unlocking value?
You have to find a segue of potential. It's like anything else, potential energy and kinetic energy. How do you turn energy from potential to kinetic? These are all chemistry questions.
Yeah, get it moving.
Yeah, and how do you get things moving? What is work, as an engineer would say? Force times distance. F times D equals W. This is for all the engineers out there. I can hang with y'all, you know, because right now what we're doing is social engineering, and that's the future of Las Vegas. All right? Because it's the gaming capital of the world. And either you're running game or you're getting game ran on you.
You could say social engineering is what it was built on. I like to consider Vegas the name drop economy because that social capital travels farther than a lot of times of your own personal value. When you go up to a club and you say, hey, I know Johnny, who's the manager or even just a host, you get walked in with no considerations.
It depends. I mean, because it's not just who you know, it's how you know who you know. That's the game. Because if you know Johnny, but you owe Johnny, then you can't do nothing for Johnny, if you could dig what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So in Vegas has really run off it's rather who you know than what you know. It's not the same across many cities, but in a socially engineered city like Las Vegas, that is the most pertinent to its success, especially when you go into the nightclubs and the gambling space, right?
Yeah, you're right. But it's also how you do it, you know, because game theory is always running rampant here. All right. Now, every game, this is what I was taught. I was taught that every game is a matter of two things: sequence, and impulse. That's the order in how things happen and your human condition on trying to make things happen or fear of making things happen. All right? And it's based off of two other principles, games of perfect information or imperfect information. A game of perfect information is like a chess or something that you see all the moves in front of your face. A game of imperfect information is like poker, where there's a bluff involved. Everybody's bluffing. They're never taking things for face value. Their impulse is always trying to get them out of order. Or sometimes they're carrying things close to the vest, they're keeping it real, and they end up in the right position. The whole thing is just finding what type of game works best for you in the gaming capital of the world.
What game works best for you, personally?
Personally? The game of the spirit, man, because it never ends.
But you have to fall on one of those two sides of the coin now.
I mean, no, you just keep the coin spinning.
Ever evolving.
That's right.
I guess that is part of the game. When you grow up, I've talked about this a few times. When you grow up and your teachers, your family ask you what you want to be, but 20 years from that time being, when you're 6 years old entering kindergarten, there's no way for you to even perceive what would exist because of how fast the coin is spinning. And that's what the world of how fast it evolves. And now we're in the exponential age, where it just evolves even faster.
Man, by milliseconds.
It's insane. The crypto space that I'm involved in moves at the fastest I've ever come across of any industry, constantly changing. And it's just a combination of momentum and human perception because it's built off of trust.
Yeah, so now that we're on the topic, what do you think about Dogecoin and Elon Musk?
Dogecoin?
Yeah.
So I actually was accumulating Dogecoin all throughout 2019. I'm out of that position now. But I believed in memes, and you can even go back to my Twitter account from 2019 when I was saying I am investing in Doge because I believe in memes and I understand the power of memes and the internet culture, which persists because of it. It's a belief system, but it speaks more than just, a dog of a Shiba on a coin.
Yeah, I had a Shiba Inu. I miss my dog. Yeah. Rest in peace, Saki. She just passed. Oh, man, that was so sad.
Oh, Elon Musk has been interesting about it. I don't think he personally owns any, but he says that it's a way for those who have been mistreated to find their way out of poverty. And he's also has a vendetta against the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission, because they've come after him many times. But since he doesn't own it and he's just tweeting about it, there's nothing really he could do about it, or they could do about it. So he is trying to, I think, single-handedly bring a lot of people wealth.
He is.
Which I admire. I think that's awesome. I mean, do I think it's good for the crypto space? Maybe. I don't know. I think it's onboarding a lot of people to that space that wouldn't have got into it to begin with. And then eventually, most of them will eventually migrate over to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the better coins. Or I guess more developed coins would be a more proper way to put it.
They will. I'd say sell when it gets up to $1.
Yeah.
Eventually it will. When it gets $1, just go ahead and dump that joint.
Yeah, I definitely sold too early, but still made profits. But it's all a learning experience. And now that I've been involved with trading markets for about 5 years, I kind of see life as a market. You could be in a bull market personally, a bear market personally, but there's a lot of waves that come without that in life. And I think it's important to note where you are personally within your own life on that, right? Nobody wants to peak in high school.
That's true. But there are so many fallen stars.
There are a lot.
Rest in peace to the fallen stars.
Fallen stars, right? I remember growing up in high school and even college, and you always wanted to be that person who was just super popular. And now you look at them, and this happens a lot to valedictorians too.
I was raised different. I don't know. I went in high school. I wanted to hide from the cameras. I did not want to be known for the stuff we was on.
Yeah, but I was similar. I was kind of background. I mean, I like to party and stuff, but now we're both talking in front of a camera.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right? Is it because that coin, we kept that coin spinning? We didn't let it stop?
It's because the world changed. Now we're in the creative economy. If we were still dealing with the IT age exclusively, if we were still dealing with the Industrial Revolution, chances are our personality types would not be sitting in front of a camera. But because we're dealing with social media, we have to do this in order to expand on our brands. Oh, and shout out also to Vegas Entrepreneur magazine.
Hey, shout out. Del Webb is killing it out there.
Killing it.
Killing it. I know you were announced in the 40 under 40 list.
Hey, you know what? I'm just grateful. Shout out also Money Train Management.
Yeah.
He's doing some good things. Everybody that helped me along the way that's rocking with me as One Promotions, of course, XMB Models. It takes a team.
Yeah.
One person can't do anything in this city. That's one thing I've learned.
I have to say, for G and Money Train Management, I've actually been blown away by all of you guys on the team. You know, G reached out to me. I had him on the show. I had Mozzie on the show. You're on the show. And when I first started the podcast, I was really focused on numbers and analytics. And right, you know, you kind of get caught in that because you don't know how to navigate social media. Just at first, when you're first tapping into the creator economy or creative economy, and now that I've talked to all of you individually, I see the vision, which is something that was hard to see online. But talking to you individually, now I see it, and it's so pronounced that I'm a firm believer in it.
Hey, it's the money train. That's why we coming with the money bunnies, and this is all the money team. You know, the greatest entrepreneur in the city is Floyd Mayweather. Many people don't fully understand that, you know, and he learned the game from Senior. You know, he learned the game from his uncle Raj. I mean, we're all sitting back watching literally someone go from Mike Tyson to Don King. Are we realizing what we're seeing?
So Floyd, huge Vegas bull. He's been out here in Vegas for a long time. He's crushed it.
Man.
Why do you consider him one of the best entrepreneur outside of his boxing career?
His promotional abilities. The amount of money he brings Las Vegas every time he does anything.
That is facts. When I was working at the nightclub, all of our best nights were the Floyd Mayweather boxing nights.
Boom,
yeah.
that's
And
it.
now it's transitioned to UFC because he's retired. But Floyd, where it was the best money making night every time.
And then he stepped in the ring and beat Conor McGregor. So really, Floyd can step in the ring and do anything. He's taking those YouTube boys down to Florida. You know what I'm saying? At Hard Rock Stadium, shout out my man Mike Goodwin.
You don't think that
It's just crazy.
like this exhibition fight he's getting into and the one with McGregor isn't a money grab at all? I know some people have kind of had some negative stigma surrounding that.
Even if it is, he is playing the game. And for him, it is a game of perfect information. For us, it is a game of imperfect information. He is playing on our impulse, and he is timing the sequence. Thus, he is the master gear. You understand? He's the teacher. Now, when you're dealing with masters, you got two different elements that either fall underneath. Either you have students or you have slaves. Depends on which your school of thought. And I'm a student.
You have to be continually learning. I think
you could be a slave too. And continuously just trying to catch up.
And you know what is one of the main differences between a slave and a student is probably the most important trait from my own perception, which is curiosity. Curiosity is what pulls you out of slaveship, right?
Hey, it depends. It depends on opportunity. Curiosity has to meet opportunity in order for adventure to really arise.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that. Even if the opportunity per se never comes, if you stay continually curious and continually learning, I think a lot of these focal points that you've learned will eventually converge on one another, whether it's an opportunity created or manifested by yourself or brought to you by somebody else because they like what you're about.
That is true.
It is, right? It's like the concept of luck. Naval talks about this. There's 4 different kinds of luck. There's blind luck where you just happen to walk into it, right? Like hitting the mega bucks or the lottery. That's just like blind luck. But one of them he talks about, which is, I think he calls it applied luck, where it's like you put yourself out there in so many different situations that luck eventually finds you just because you're out there just making moves, riling things up. And that's what you have to do. But sometimes I think people are afraid to put themselves out there because of maybe public perception.
Man, people are afraid of just being alive, man. You could say it's public perception. I could say it's just private inferiority. At the end of the day, people are one or two things, bro. Either they're winners or losers.
If you ain't growing, you're dying.
Amen.
Which always has caught me off guard because I personally, just speaking from my own experience, have always gone out and tried to do different things. Found an antique store, found to take verification apps, or tried to write a book, blah, 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 blah. And I was never turned away by public perception. I don't know. Because to me, it was just like, what's the worst thing that happens? Like, some people dislike you? Like, I don't know. It's just like that fear that people try to install on the public opinion, just like, to me, I just saw right through it. It was so opaque. But for some other people, it seems like a wall.
Yeah.
Like a concrete wall you just can't climb over, even though it's not there, right? And sometimes we do this by we put up our own mental barriers where we kind of have this like imposter syndrome. Most people experience this at some point. But once you actually put yourself out there and get past it and you step over this self-manifested wall, you realize that the wall was an inch big, like an ant could step over it.
Yep.
Did you feel imposter syndrome at all when you started your music career as your initial vehicle into this?
I never felt imposter or anything. My life was always too real. My background was a little different. I, survived a traumatic brain injury. I was hit by a car when I was 6. I had to learn how to walk again, talk again, hold a fork, hold a spoon. So, my first memories of life was excruciating pain and, having to try to survive in the murder capital of the world as a child that didn't really understand anything. So my experiences was just a little different than everybody else's.
And is that what your music's inspired by that traumatic event?
That's what my life is inspired by. My music is inspiring, trying to help people along the way. And I just happen to, people say I'm good at what I do. I don't know. I just know that, it's relief.
Yeah, those traumatic events sometimes stick with us. But if you're able to capitalize on it and put that in your court, put that ball in your court, right? And you can shoot the threes with it, and you are able to turn that into a profit, but even better, turn that into a net positive for society through your own creation.
Yeah.
But it's life is so weird at times because these traumatic events, they come in many different forms. Being hit by a car. For me, there was a point in my life where my mom forgot to take her pills and had a seizure, and I thought that was like the end of her life, and that was a traumatic event for me. And those kind of things play over and over. But if you're able to use or channel that energy or those events, it just becomes a huge motivator for your life and for your future endeavors.
Yes. It happens, and it's just a matter of keep moving forward.
So what was that? Tell me about that experience of having that brain traumatic injury and being able to, or go through the trials of being able to walk and talk again. What was that like at such a young age?
Imagine being trapped in a maze, surrounded by a cage. That's what it was like.
And how long were you trapped in this cage for?
Sometimes it feels like I still am.
It's deep. It's tough.
It's life. That's why I just have to keep being amazing to get out of this maze. So, one of the skill sets that I learned, with my mother, she was actually by my side, and I was in the National Speakers Association still representing, and, that's the NSA, and also was Toastmasters International. Now I'm a subject matter expert on the subject of brain restoration through trauma. And we have a speech that we give called Perseverance. That's what I gave. I gave that speech for the FraserNet Top 5 Forbes Business Conference. And basically what I speak on is the test of character. It takes character to get out of that predicament. And even if you personally never make it out of that predicament, it is the perseverance that you have that could be an inspiration for someone else that could eventually make it out. Because you have to have faith that you're on the right path. And the way you do that is through right understanding and true knowledge, being able to see the forest for the trees.
It does seem like a dark path at times, but one thing I've realized is you never know how others perceive you. You know what your own perception is of yourself, but society always tends to have a different perception in so many different ways, sometimes for the positive or for the negative. And sometimes we could get lost in those perceptions. But as long as you stay true to yourself and your own beliefs, you're able to pull yourself out of that dark pit of how others tend to view you. And then it becomes light.
That's right.
But it's just the way that we go about it. Tell me more about this. What was it? The Brain Association? What was it called that you're part of, that you speak on?
Oh, no, that's the National Speakers Association.
National Speakers Association. I've heard of Toastmasters.
Yeah, the NSAspeaker.org for anyone that wants to check it out. www.nsaspeaker.org. That is the National Speakers Association. It is the top bureau for speakers in the United States of America.
And how's that organization helped you?
Wow. It taught me about the industry. You know, it taught me about the speaking industry and speaking, public speaking, and motivational. I don't really want to call myself a motivational speaker because I'm not per se, but I motivate through my rap. I look at my music as motivational speaking, my poetry, motivational speaking. I could give actual speeches too, but the main thing is who your target audience is. It taught me about eloquence. It taught me about execution. It taught me about excellence. You know, it taught me about enterprise. It taught me about the business of speaking.
And is that business side of the speaker realm dark?
No.
Is there a political space to it?
There's political space to everything. I'm from Washington, D.C. I mean, come on. Everything is politics, you know? Every 4 years it gets crazy in my life. So, yeah, I mean, there's politics to everything, but for the most part, you know, no. I mean, you have to understand that you have your own story. If you put politics in your story, that's you playing politics. But no, as long as, you know, you always have somebody with the ear willing to listen. Our stories, our history, our knowledge, our information, that is the cornerstone of who we are in society. That's the very thing. You're in crypto. That's the very thing that makes the blockchain move. Your data.
It's true. We have to take power back and possess our own data.
That's right.
Because it's been way too long. And we were in the dark for a long time that these big software companies were taking hold of it and selling it on the back end.
That's right.
And there's many ways to do this as well. Outside of blockchain, it's just we have to be privacy centric, because privacy I don't think is a bad thing. But for some, the mainstream media likes to make it out to be this dark force of being able to possess your own data and privatize or encrypt your own transactions.
Because they want, the business is keeping you stocked and bonded. You know, if they could keep you livestock, then they could tell what you're doing on this stock exchange.
Are you involved in investing? Are you an investor?
I'm around a lot of investors, but, you know, I invest in human capital myself, and just in a different way.
How do you go about that?
Man, the game's to be sold and not told.
Okay. Can you give a little bit of information for, you know?
All right. I mean, what I understand in the stock market, and I'm around people who are stockbrokers, and I deal with people who make public accounts and take companies public. You know, you just have to know the pulse of the market. You know the pulse of the market, and you put your money there, depending on whether the market is a bull market or a bear market. You know, the thing is not to be a pig or a chicken. Chickens are scared money. Pigs are gluttons. Bear market is when ain't really nothing out there, and the bull market is when everybody's rushing. Right now is a bull market.
Yeah.
That's why I got As One with my collective people. Shout out As One Promotions. And, you know, we got the XMB ladies, and we're going to do this thing as one because that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Celebrating our champions.
Yeah. You have to make sure you're unified in that messaging.
Yes, sir.
It's tough though, when in a bull market, when everything's going up, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of animosity, there's bottlenecks.
Yes. So you know what you do? You invest in the bottleneck. People don't understand. They keep trying to avoid the problems. You know, the key is to solve the problems.
That's what entrepreneurs are for.
That's what we're doing.
Solving the problems.
That's what we're doing, Jake.
I think in today's world, we are moving into this entrepreneurial economy, whereas 20 years ago, it was a very businessman-centric, right? A lot of the businessmen of the world or businesswomen, they ran these businesses. They kind of hid behind it. They weren't public figures, and they tried to nickel and dime you for every sort of value that you had. But now, with entrepreneurs, it's a little bit backwards. The entrepreneurs are very out in the open. We're on cameras talking. We're voicing our opinions and our messaging, and we're not looking to nickel and dime you. We're looking to create value or solve a problem, and then the monetization kind of comes second now. So it seems like that's kind of flip-flopped.
Yes. That has to do with the overall consciousness of the world. Mm-hmm. You know, we're moving from a very enigmatic society to an information-based society. Everybody who has the internet at their fingertips has access to information. The whole thing is, how do you apply this information? So the business is now in teaching the application. That's why apps are everywhere. That's the difference between a website and an app. An app actually does something. A site just shows something.
That is very true. Very, very true.
Shout out Software BBD, you know? So, also check out www.softwarebbd.com. That's my family company. BBD is built by design. We specialize in software applications.
Yes.
Do things.
I'm glad to hear that there's another software design or application company out here in Vegas, because the tech scene is very light out here. And I've been involved in a few different groups and offices that are trying to bring software-based businesses and technology companies out here. But it seems to be tough to do. But I know there is a mass migration out of Silicon Valley.
Well, the Vegas tech space is dark. You want to talk about darkness? It's there. You know what type of city this is. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't want to say the wrong thing on air, but I first came to Vegas because of my father and this tech thing. This was in 2001. You know, a lot of things happen, but let me just say, to God be the glory.
It's such a primed city to be able to host a tech-based community out here, or forward-thinking community in a sense, right? It's no state taxes, low taxes. You have
people got to be willing to play ball. That's the thing. When it comes to Vegas, it's a certain type of court. You dig what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But people don't want to pass the ball. They don't want to play the game because they already have their things lined up. It cannot become a Silicon Valley unless they want to actually expand.
Yes. I've heard this phrase a few times in a few different meetups, Silicon Central, and that's what they want Vegas to be. But there has to be a way to do it. I know there's been a few different waves. Tony Hsieh tried to do this with his VC and tech startup place out in downtown. I forget what building it was
Zappos?
The Zappos. Yeah, Tony Hsieh, rest in peace. Yeah, rest in peace. It's unfortunate.
See, that's my point. Now that we're getting to the bottom of the situation, you got to know what type of city this is. Mm-hmm. You know? People forget the gangster roots of Las Vegas, and they follow you everywhere. That's all I'm saying.
It is. There is.
Don't let this corporate facade fool you.
Yeah, I mean, working in the clubs and even working at the pool for 5 years before that, I've had coworkers who've passed away, coworkers and friends who've gambled their lives away, get caught up. I call it the vicious Vegas cycle, where you make a lot of money on the strip and then you go out and you just put it all back into the system, and you go out with these people that you're meeting at the tables, and you're investing social capital into them. But then there comes a point where you realize that that social capital adds up to exactly nothing.
And that's what we call the quicksand.
Yes.
So, you have to learn how to separate the clay from the quicksand.
And did you ever have a moment like that out here in Vegas, or an epiphany that there was quicksand and the ground wasn't firm? Is there a specific moment that you can point to, or
there's many moments I could point to about that, but I had to learn to navigate it, because what is quicksand to some is just mud to others. If you're truly a giant, nothing could take you under.
It's a weird, dark city, but it does have dark roots.
It ain't darker than D.C. See, that's the thing. You talk about capital. This is a city based on capital, but it's not one number of capital. And now there's Washington, D.C. But in D.C., we print the money. Here, they just play with it.
Also true.
Yeah.
I guess that's probably one of the bottlenecks, is that in DC, you're literally printing money, or wherever the Federal Reserve is. Silicon Valley prints money because that's where all the investors are. Here, we're playing with it, which I had not realized that before you said that. How do we print money out here? How do we make Vegas
You got to have a mint.
Generating machine?
You have to have a mint to print.
And how do we do that?
It has to be the true capital.
I'm sure there's a few different ways that you could attack creating a minter in a city.
Well, it's going to have to mint in cyberspace. It got to be a concept. It can't be physical. It has to be metaphysical.
Yes. So I'm glad you brought that up. I started a clubhouse room called Vegas 4D. And the reason why I called it Vegas 4D
like the name
is because I said Vegas has historically operated in a 3D model. Right? It's an instant gratification town based off of tipping and gambling and everything that's pertinent to the strip. But it's missing the overcoat of the tech layer, the meta layer. And I've been trying to find ways to bridge that and kind of put this internet coat over the city, which it's been missing.
The only way you're going to be able to do that is dipping into the city's actual natural resource. And the one natural resource that Las Vegas has more than any other city is the artist. But we have to love the original spirit in order for that to happen. In a town full of replicas, originality is not this sound.
But you can bring originality. Originality breeds originality, no?
You got to export originality out of here. We got to export it.
Export it out?
Export it out. You export it out to bring something back. That's the only way.
You think so?
That's what I know. It's all advertising. It's all metadata. That is what everything is. Vegas, we tap into who we are as a society, as a community. We find our common unity. Then we win. With no common unity, there is no community unless you're just an illiterate man.
Right. And so with community, this is one of the reasons why I moved down in the arts district down here where we're recording, because I felt like this is where the community and culture is being built, because there is no gambling down here, right? There isn't any of the forces which travel around on the strip or even downtown Vegas. And this is why I think this area has been blowing up in all these different restaurants, and why this
First Friday,
yeah, it was super busy. This building itself is full of a lot of entrepreneurs and the younger generations, because this area exists without some of those dark forces that the city was built on.
Sure.
And also, to your point, there's a lot of artists down here. I mean, look, there's murals everywhere.
It's the soul of Vegas. This is the soul of Vegas.
It is.
And this is what's really going to bring Vegas to the new age.
Yeah. And the cool part of the arts district, Vegas is very good at tearing old shit down and building up something new. You see it with Resorts World, all these different casinos. Here, downtown, they keep a lot of the old infrastructure intact, but then they build new on the inside.
Yes. And you want to know what that's called? Remodeling, i.e. refashioning it. Vegas is a fashion epicenter. And that's what it has to get back to. That's what it has to build on moving forward.
Fashion.
Period. Fashion and advertisement. If it's fashionable and it's advertised to the world, then it's going to bring humans to spend capital, period.
Right. But the problem that I see I feel like it does a fair job at advertising, but the issue that I see is all of the Vegas locals who work on the Strip have a hard time pulling that capital off the Strip because they keep putting it back into the system.
Yeah, they need to be industrious. Mm-hmm. It's like that road that runs parallel to the Strip.
So how do we go about encouraging all of the people who work on the Strip and in the various areas of the hospitality industry to invest it either in themselves or in the infrastructure or culture outside of the Strip?
Just remember what you're there for and support your local business, you know, and then become a local business so we can support you. And our community will be able to support the infrastructure of tourism because that will never change in the city.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like a self-reinforcing idea where I feel like it takes only a handful of individuals to portray this message, you know, like me and you are doing right here, and then encourage or inspire others to follow suit, where then we can invest social capital into them with the social capital that we possess. And then it's just like, it's like what you see happening at Starbucks where somebody pays it forward, right? When you walk up to the line and they're like, oh, the person in front of you paid for it already. Well, I'm just going to continue to investing in the person behind me.
That's right. It's a chain.
It's a chain. It's a social chain.
I mean, if it's not that, then it's just a mom and pop situation.
Mm-hmm. Mom and pops are good, though.
Yeah, but mom and pops are the past, no matter how you frame it.
Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a inevitable thing.
Yeah. I know franchises tend to garner a negative stigma because they oftentimes don't export culture well to their various locations.
Look, that's true. The only reason why it's negative to people, though, is because they're not part of the enterprise. If you enter your prize into the enterprise, then you will benefit from the enterprise. If you're an individualist and you're fighting the sound of inevitability, then you're going to be deaf to your death. That's it, man.
Would you consider corporatism the same as franchising? Are they similar or are they different?
When I hear the word corporate, I hear the word cooperate. You know? So for me, it's enterprising. For someone else, they could look at it franchising and be like, oh, well, I don't, you know what I'm saying, I'm fighting, blah, blah, blah. Well, why don't you just buy stock in that same corporate company that you see inevitably blowing up, i.e. your Walmart, i.e. your Tesla. Shout out Elon Musk. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would never short that man, Elon Musk. That fool is a genius.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, he just, I think I read something about him with Asperger's syndrome.
Yeah, he said that on SNL.
Yeah, man, shout outs to him. You know, everybody suffering from autism, Asperger's, you know, never give up. Never give up. Persevere through. You know, anybody dealing with any mental health, mental illness, you know, that's what I speak on because of what I personally overcame. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And if you keep going, if you find that speck of DNA inside of you that continues to drive forward, you'll be able to embody your own success.
It's true. For a long time, disabilities were considered disadvantages or mental illness, but I think we're beginning to learn that it can be channeled in a way to actually be almost like a superpower, right?
Hey, well, X-Men one way or another, right?
Yeah, it's actually a good way to put it. A lot of people, I had a friend who had Asperger's, and he had some social issues in terms of being able to integrate into large groups. But what this man had was unparalleled sports knowledge. Like literally it was like almost like he was a psychic. Like he could look into the past or in the future and just know everything that happened. It was insane.
Rain Man.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. That's all the movies and the sci-fi movies end up becoming reality one way or another.
Yeah.
That's the strange part, right?
Strange part is that we don't realize it was reality from the beginning. The strange part is this dream we're all waking up from.
Dreams are strange. In terms of dreams, I mentioned this in the beginning. You achieved something that can be considered a dream to many, right? You received a Billboard Top 100 award for.
Oh, thanks. Yes, you know what? And I work with a very strong team. I can't personally take, you know, all the success. You know, shout out to SS Global, you know, and Tiffany Gaines. Shout out to Money Train, you know. Shout out to Life Support Media Group. You know, I mean, it took a team of us to do this. I didn't do it by myself.
Yeah, the team is very important.
That's right.
What can you give us a bit of an explanation of what the song is and what the song means?
That song was Gorillas, okay? And basically, it was coming off of this album called History Explained that is dropping soon. Our next single is Dance with a Model that's coming out. But Gorillas, the way that the album was wrote, all right, it's called History Explained, The Matrix. It's written off of everybody waking up from their own matrix of thought. Every song, 12 songs, represents a sign of the zodiac. Gorillas was the first one because it represented Darwinism, okay? So just like the planet of Aries, which is the planet of war, the song Gorillas was an anatomy on guerrilla warfare, an analogy of guerrilla warfare. You know what I'm saying? And waking up from your own anatomy of evolution.
Interesting. It's very meta.
Hey,
Love
man,
it.
It was a meta album, meta concept. It was Matrix. Shout out Sophia Stewart. You know what I'm saying? It took a team. I couldn't have done this by myself.
How do you concoct some of these very I wouldn't say invasive, but very in-depth thoughts that maybe are hard to fathom to somebody who isn't able to tap into the outliers of your own consciousness and be able to write these down or even be able to conceptualize it or articulate it?
I have to calculate what's on their mind as well, okay? Because once I calculate what's on their mind, then I could keep things flowing in the orbit it's supposed to be. You know, once I'm actually in tune with them, if I know how many electrons are around me, I know how many protons are going on within myself. So that's the nucleus could always stay true to the source. This is the nuclear understanding. It's the only way not to explode on contact.
Do you have a creative process that is the same throughout your career, or has it changed?
It evolves. Every second, my mind is growing. I cannot stop it from growing because I'm a subject matter expert on brain optimization. I never was able to, once I figured out what made the brain go, I cannot turn mine off. And it's based off of 4 mental abilities and 7 different types of intelligence that I embody. The 4 mental abilities are mental strength, mental endurance, mental speed, and mental flexibility. Okay? The mental strength is how heavy a problem or situation I can hold up. The endurance is how long I can hold it up. The speed is how fast I go through it. And the flexibility is how I go to another one. All right? And the 7 different types of intelligence is word intelligence, which is linguistical. Okay? Musical intelligence, numbers intelligence, physical intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, and musical intelligence. You know what I'm saying?
So music is very important then.
Yeah, because it also helps you keep the logic, and all of these things go into each other.
Right. To me, for a long time growing up, I always felt like music was a novelty more than something that's part of just the human society, right? It seemed like just like an industry, but the way that you're speaking about it, it's part of the human character.
Well, if you take the word music down and you break it into syllables, music is the muse I see. So something has to be your muse. Something has to inspire you. What do you see that inspires you? Make a sound about it. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all the earth sing praise. That's music.
And that's why it's so powerful.
When you do it right.
Right. Also with instruments. I guess
Exactly.
that's what speaks the tune. For me, I'm a big fan of electronic music, specifically without words. And the reason why I've said this is because if you're ever at a rave or a music festival where they're playing electronic music, everybody's interpreting the song differently. That's why everyone danced differently. That's why I liked it more beautiful, because it's not like some songs with lyrics where everyone's kind of has this similar perception, like self-interpretation, which makes it powerful.
Yes, because everyone's in a vibe.
Yeah.
You know?
The buzzword.
That's right. They're in a vibe and it turns to a trance, you know what I'm saying? And then it all just becomes one.
Yeah, it really does. So we're coming up on an hour. and
Excellent.
is a very mind-bending, we'll call it, conversation. But I do have one final question for you before we get out of here.
Okay, what's that?
It's the same question I ask everybody. What does Las Vegas mean to you?
Las Vegas to me means a common effort of the collective in doing everything as one, hopping on the money train and just winning in the end. Because if you take away finance from Las Vegas, you take away freedom.
Boom. For the listeners and viewers on YouTube, if they want to follow you along your journey or learn more about anything that you've mentioned that's notable to you, where do I direct them to?
Well, connect them to my website, which is www.versethelegend.com. If you want to know about my life story and my book, that's www.maybelifeisatest.com. If you want to know more about the modeling firm that we actually are putting on now, that is Instagram XMB Model Management. If you want to know about the golf course back in D.C. that we're running events from right now, that is nationalgolfclub.us. It's the U.S. National Golf Club in Fort Washington, Maryland. Shout out, Mummy Lloyd Spencer. Love you. And, you know what I'm saying? It's just so much. And also, if you want to know about the tech aspect of it, that's www.softwarebbd.com. Maybe forget my own thing. But shout out Money Train again.
Yeah.
You know, XMB Models, thank you.
You're involved in so much, man. You're involved in
because
so much.
this is the creative economy.
It
and
is.
if we do it as a collective, we eventually blow. That's why before I get out, I definitely want some of my business partners to say a word or two, because I couldn't do this by myself, and we're only moving forward.
Yeah, it's the creative economy is built on the foundation of collaboration.
That's right.
If you have multiple people who command attention and they solidify that message together, it's an amplification of those numbers. It's not just a multiple.
And you represent that too for your podcast. You know, we gotta get some things going too.
Ooh,
with the
I'm about
Island
it, man.
Studios, the CW. Let's get this in, man.
I'm all about it, man. Dude, this is the biggest opportunity of all of our lives to pursue it. And it's just like, there is no way I could be held down by a 9-to-5 job, in this case, a graveyard job, when the opportunity is staring right in front of us to change not only our own respective lives, but the community of Vegas and even beyond that together.
That's right. Well, thank you for having me, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you so much. At some point, we're going to have to, in the future, we're going to have a 3-way conversation with me, you, and G. And that'll be a very interesting conversation.
Oh, yes.
When that
Soon, dance like a model versus the legend, money train management.
Yeah, dance.
My management stuff because he be forgetting. Dance with a model.
Shout out Topaz. What's good? That's right. We are a team, and we doing this as a unit. As one.
All is one, guys. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Right on.
All right, guys. I'm here with Raina. She's with XMB Models, which we had just mentioned in the podcast. She's going to give us a few notes about herself as well as the business that she works for.
Hello. So basically, I'm a part of XMB, which stands for extremely beautiful. And
I can see why.
We're just a bunch of models, trying to make it. And it's not judgmental. We don't have a certain look. You come as you, and they embrace you.
Were you a model previously before you got involved in XMB?
Yes, I was a model and an actress.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm still am. But, it's just I've been inspired to do this for a while, and I've actually been watching XMB for a cool minute, especially since I'm friends with the model personally before. And just seeing it, I always wanted to be a part of it. Now that I'm a part of it, I'm just very excited to see where this goes.
How do you feel about the community of XMB, and how does it differ from previous modeling communities that you've been a part of?
The difference, I'd say, is the people a part of it. You could tell by the CEO, she's not here to play games. She wants to see you win and see all of us win, and she wants to see the better. And some people, it's like you said it before in the other episode, people just want to nickel and dime you. It's she just wants to see you win. And I just love that about that, the whole thing. I love it.
It is awesome. And there is quite a few modeling businesses out here. I mean, that's kind of the nature of Vegas, where they place you. What type of modeling is involved or inclusive of XMB?
I think we're very versatile. You know, we can do a different type of shoots. We do workshops, you know, practicing on our walks. We do runways. We do a lot of other shops. I'm still new. I just started, so I'm still like getting into this, and I'm very excited to see where it goes too, because we're going to be doing new stuff and traveling. I'm excited.
It's all of Vegas is built on women, and the reason why I say that, I've said this a few times in the podcast, where if the men on the strip stopped working, Vegas would function fine. But if all the women stopped working, the models, the cocktail servers, everything like that, nobody would come out here.
Really?
So you women are really the reason why Vegas succeeds so well.
Would that mean like, cause like we're the face?
You're the face of it,
Okay.
right? I mean, you're all beautiful, but you're also like very positive, very happy. Right?
Definitely.
Like no one wants to see a bunch of men in the casinos, right? We're here to hang out with you guys, right? But
that's true.
the cool thing I see with like the modeling industry is that it's just because it's become a vehicle for women to not only just showcase, you know, their beauty, but then you eventually get to dive into entrepreneurship because you're surrounded by a very inclusive community who believes in your own ideals that you could share.
Yeah, that's one thing about XMB. Like I said, we were very versatile, and like we all have different ideas when it comes to modeling, like what we want to do next, how we want to look, where we're gonna go. Like the styles in just itself is just a topic, because we all are different. Like we all have our own look, style, and it's like we have more than one most of the time too. So it's just like cool seeing how we can like try to push it off onto other people and see how we can all connect into it, and we all still feel ourselves at the same way.
It's empowerment.
Definitely.
Empowerment on next level. And y'all get to make some money too, you know.
Yeah,
that's the best part. So what kind of modeling did you do previously?
Modeling I did previously, I'd say like what is it? Print or no, it's just print.
Yeah, I know there's a few various things. What's your opinion on Instagram modeling? Do you think that's the future? Or do you think that's a dying?
Honestly, it's been the future for a cool minute. Like if you've seen Instagram models from back when Instagram first started, they're still here and they're still propping and they're still doing stuff. So definitely being an Instagram model would be the top thing, even though it comes with a lot of drama, a lot of negativity. That's up to you whether you want to feed into it or give the same energy back. So it's a win or lose, but if you know how to navigate it, it's a win.
It is, yeah. The Instagram models really do run, but now there's new things like TikTok. I see there's a lot of models that are migrating over there.
It's really expanding, and people are bringing their businesses to TikTok. You know, their small businesses. Like it's all about networking.
It is. Then that's what Vegas is built on. So you're in the perfect place. You're part of a company that's associated with a large network of very successful individuals.
Definitely.
Do you have any other comments? Anything that I missed before close up? Any more mentions?
No, not any other comments.
Where can everyone follow you?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram. My name is Reina, RREINAAA. Period. Underscore. You know.
And what's the website for XMB, or where do they follow them at if they want to apply?
Yeah, their Instagram is going to be at XMB Models.
Perfect.
So.
I'll make sure that's all linked in. Raina, thank you for giving us a brief description and having a conversation. Appreciate you.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
All right, everybody. I'm here with Elise, who is also part of XMB Models. How are you doing?
Good, and yourself?
Doing excellent. I know you're a little bit nervous, and I'm gonna mention it, but it's okay because we're all nervous at some point. But one thing I'm sure you're not nervous about is being a model, right? Something you're professional at.
Yeah, when I first started XMB, I didn't know how to walk. I couldn't pose, nothing. But I grew from there. Now I could do it without a problem.
Were you a model before?
Well, I had a couple photo shoots, but it wasn't. It was just a man with a camera, honestly. It wasn't really what I was looking for. I've been in a couple music videos, though.
So what inspired you then to pursue XMB?
I've always wanted to model. I found XMB through a friend because she used to model for them. And then I've been following them for some years now, and I was trying to get with them. every time they had a model call, I was sending my pictures, my information. They just never got back to me. But one day I was just laying down, and I was surprised when I saw XMB Models pop up on my phone. She's like, "Are you still interested in a model?" My heart dropped. I was like, "Yes." Oh, I was so excited. It was the best day ever. And ever since then, I've just been here.
How long have you been a part of the company?
Yeah, about 6 months.
In Vegas, it could feel like 6 years though, with the amount of gigs and things that you're a part of.
6 months and ongoing.
So how has it changed your life ever since you joined?
I'm more photogenic, and I got better with walking with heels, honestly. Like, with the whole thing with modeling, I wanted to do it, but I just didn't know where to start. That changed also.
So you're more of like a catwalk model than...
Yes, I love walking. I could do runways all day. That's like my favorite thing.
So there's I'm assuming there's catwalk, then there's just the normal
Runway?
there's runway, then there's just what's it called, photo, where you're just taking pictures. High fashion, swimwear. Is there do you guys dabble in modeling where you go out to, let's say, venues at the nightclub or anything like that? Hosting, yeah, that was something that was super popular at Omnia that I saw, and I didn't realize like how dense and deep the industry actually is within modeling. Yeah. But you're all needed out here, right? Are you from Vegas?
Yes, I just moved back 6 years ago, though. I used to live in Louisiana, but I am from Vegas originally.
Really? What part?
Like in Louisiana?
No, Vegas.
Oh, just regular Vegas.
No, like what side of town?
Oh, Summerlin?
Okay.
Yeah.
What, like Palo High School?
No, around like Cimarron, that school.
Okay. Yeah, Vegas. I always have to give a shout out to all the Vegas natives out here, because you did something that I talk about all the time. People who are from Vegas, they leave, they always come back.
Yeah. I didn't think we were going to come back. I wanted to come back, though. This is my home.
Did you come back for modeling?
No, I came back for my family that's out here. My dad and the rest of my siblings. And my main family.
But now modeling is your future forever.
Yes,
forever.
Modeling is up here. I tell people no one's going to stop me in my tracks with modeling. It's up here with me.
Do you have any thoughts about the community of XMB Models?
I love it, honestly. The girls are amazing. They're not, like, how do I put it? They're not, like, cocky with it, like the obnoxious cocky. We're all loving. We all care for each other. It's like a good community to be with. Like, no, it's not drama-filled, you know?
That's very important, because in Vegas there's a lot of cattiness, I have to say.
Yes.
Were you involved in you weren't involved in any other modeling agencies prior?
No.
But this is going to be the only one?
Yeah. I'm actually happy that this one's ran by a female. I'm not really too comfortable with being with a company that's ran by a male. I just feel it's more professional with a female, and I feel more comfortable.
Yeah, female empowerment, female entrepreneurship. I think that's something that's very underserved in Vegas, is the amount of female entrepreneurs out here, because you can all make a lot of money and you can pursue a lot of different endeavors that aren't just male dominated. And
I'm actually happy that I found XMB, because out here there's not really a lot of serious agencies. It's always like, I don't know how to put it in words, but they're just not as serious as XMB.
They're all about the money, not as much about the culture. I feel like there's culture being built.
And there's a difference between actual modeling and vixen modeling. We're actual models.
What's vixen?
Vixen is just, just in a music video twerking or just showing off your body or something. We don't do that at all, actually. If we're in a music video, she makes sure that we're doing something more sophisticated and not just showing our bodies,
I truly believe in that. Where do I send all of the viewers or listeners to follow you?
Oh, on Instagram at Elise Boyd, ELESE.BOYD.
Awesome. I'm glad there's not like 400 Ys. Well, Elise, thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge about XMB. I'm glad that there is a woman-owned modeling agency that empowers women and also has some culture attached to it.
Yes.
So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.